We'll call this meeting to order. Madam, will you please call the roll?
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Here.
Senator Herron, Senator Maiden, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Mills, Senator Rawlings,
Here.
Senator Tishner, Representative Ballman,
Present.
Representative Bray,
Present.
Representative Brown,
Here.
Representative Chester Burton, Representative Doan, Representative Fleming, Representative Freeland, Representative Griffey, Representative Hampton,
Here.
Representative Hart,
Here.
Representative Imes, Representative Lewis, Representative Maddox, Representative Meredith, Representative Neighbors,
Here.
Representative Raymer, Representative Rorks, Representative Stalker, Representative Witten, Co-Chair Nemus,
Present.
Co-Chair Flannery.
Here. Quorum. Having a quorum, we are constituted business, and we're going to go out of turn here. So I would like we have two amendments to consider. So if the Fire Commission would come up, please. If you please introduce yourself and explain the amendment.
Good morning. My name's Bruce Roberts. I'm the director of the Fire Commission.
And Chuck Bont, training records and compliance with the Fire Commission.
Go ahead.
The first reg change is for the financial disclosure reporting that's required. It's part of the SPGE laws. This reg change basically changes some definitions and puts in this reg into alignment with the changes to KRS 95A 055, which went into effect July of 22. This reg was just sort of outdated, and so it just puts it in line with the changes to that KRS at that time. Again, just some definition changes and changes some of the reporting requirements and the frequency at which we do the compliance reviews on the departments from every 4 years to an annual basis.
Are there any questions?
And then the second reg change is regarding the Fire Commission state aid that's given to departments. The main change here initially in the reg was changing the date that forms are due to the Fire Commission from July 31st to the later date of September. And that just allows fire departments more time to make purchases, because right now purchases have to be made by the end of the fiscal year, and then they have to provide us all the receipts, invoices, and documents. This just allows them a little bit more time up into June to make those purchases, acquire the needed documents, and submit them to us. And then we attached an amendment onto that as well to allow, in light of all the frequent, seems natural disasters we've been having, nothing in the law or reg allowed for fire departments to go beyond that date for submission of reporting to receive their state aid. With working with the DLG and SPG reporting, there was an affidavit that was available on the state's side to allow departments or agencies to complete their governing body to complete a waiver of affidavit for missing, lost, damaged documents. This just allows the Fire Commission to use that same version of a document for state aid. So if the fire department does have a natural disaster, flood, whatever, it allows their governing body, whether it be the tax board, board of directors, city, county government, to adopt an ordinance, submit this waiver for request of be able to waive submitting those documents or allow them extra time to acquire those documents.
Is there any discussion on the agency amendment to the reg? Is there a motion for the approval of the agency amendment to the reg?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The amendment has been adopted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have a discussion of restoration of voting rights, Senator Higdon and Senator Herron.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Senator Herron and myself worked on a bill back in 2020. It was her pre-legislative days. It might have been what got her started down that path. But I worked with a group back in 2020 that we really they had a difficult time understanding where I was coming from on a constitutional amendment. And mainly the main disagreement was to get your voting rights back after a 5-year wait, after your probation and parole was finished. 5 years after that, you could get back your voting rights. Someone that's shorter, I've seen bills that had a shorter time period. I've seen the 5 years. I've seen 3 years. My original bill said that the General Assembly could decide at a later date. That's the way our Constitution is. We have guidelines in the Constitution. Then the General Assembly decides how that's to be implemented. And I really think that's a good way of doing it. But anyway, we passed my bill out of the Senate. It went to the House. I believe it would have passed, but we cut the session short because of COVID, and it did not pass. It's been filed numerous times. Senator Herron and Senator Neal and Senator Storm filed a bill in 2024 and also in 2022. The language, like I said, most of the language is pretty much identical on all of them. It adds into our current Constitution the crime of treason, bribery in an election, a sex offense, a violent offense, an offense committed against a child. It adds that to the offenses that are already listed in the current Constitution, and also my bill, Senator Herron's bill. Every bill you see about a constitutional amendment will remove the language about idiots and insane persons. Sometime I could qualify. I get called idiot quite often. So I didn't know if a court might decide that I was one. But anyway, it gives it a little better name, intellectually or developmentally disabled or serious mental illness. It changes that definition. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and I want to make sure Senator Herron has the time to speak, but on December 12, 2019, the governor did an executive order, and not only did they restore voting rights, they also restored your citizen rights. So currently a felon has a opportunity to run for office. One of the good reasons, not a real good reason, but just a reason to put this in the constitutional amendment for restoration of voting rights. Currently, you can get your rights restored. The governor has the ability to restore voting rights, and governors have done that in the past. But under the current law, if somebody has run for office or does run for office, while this executive order is in place, they could run for office and serve. But when a future governor does away with that executive order, it's possible, then that person would have to leave the office because they wouldn't. I don't think they'd be able to continue to serve. Which that's not an overwhelming reason to do this, but we do need to those folks that have served their time. They need that to get that privilege of voting back, as long as it wasn't a crime against a child, bribery, or any of those listed in the constitutional amendment. And turn it over to Senator Herring.
Thank you, Senator Higdon. And just for the record, Keturah Herring, I represent Senate District 35. And this is an issue that I've worked on for quite some time as an advocate, and then I said that as an elected I would continue to do this work. And as Senator Higdon said, we were very close of passing this in 2020. And if it was not for COVID, I do believe that we would have passed a version of restoration of voting rights. And it has been my belief that once someone has been convicted of a crime, they do their time and they come out, that a part of them coming out and being a citizen and being whole is that they should be able to vote again. And we are, just for the record, Kentucky is one of 3 states that does not do automatic restoration of voting rights. And so when you look at what is happening across the nation and where we are, again, we're one of 3 states that is left. And so I am in deep belief that we should do this. And I think that there is a little differences between Senator Higdon and I, but we said that we are going to work together and push forward. When you look at certain crimes that people commit, what I want you all to understand is that if somebody is convicted of something like a murder, because I think that a lot of times that's where people go to, they do 15 to 20 plus years, they get out, and they still have to be on probation. And so this would say that they still have to get off of probation in order for them to vote. So you're still talking about another 5 to maybe 15 years before that individual would be able to vote. I do know an individual who at 19 was convicted of a felony. They did 2 years, and then they had to do 13 years on probation. And they were able to finish that 13 years on probation without any other offense committed, no technical violations, and they were not able to vote. And under the executive order that the governor did, they did get their rights back. But if that executive order goes away, that person would not be able to vote. And so there is just some complexities with executive orders that I believe that it is up to us as a General Assembly to go ahead and change this on the Constitution and allow the people of Kentucky to decide what this should look like moving forward. And at this time, we would welcome any questions and discussion. And then we also know that throughout between now and January, we come back, we hope to have further discussions outside of this committee with individuals who have further questions about it.
And Mr. Chairman, most likely this will go to Judicial Committee, but we just wanted this committee is a good committee to discuss the constitutional amendment, and it might be assigned to your committee. To this committee. So we're just covering all the bases, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we do have constitutional amendment in the Senate on this sort of committee, but then there's another one in the House that would handle that in the House. But I thought it was important to discuss this. Are there any questions?
I got a question. So are you proposing that this be a constitutional amendment? You said take it to the people? Or
That's correct. Okay. But it will take a constitutional amendment. This is etched in stone in the Constitution currently. We're the only person who can, only way a convicted felon can get their voting rights restored currently is by order of the governor. The governor can give them that I guess they can get that from the governor. Looking for the correct word, but the governor.
They could get a pardon.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a word. Yeah. It's a partial pardon.
Yeah.
Representative Hart.
I think I understand you right, but I just wanted to ask to clarify. because the time I've spent here in the legislature, there's been a lot of discussion about people after they've done the crime, done the time, and they're off probation, and they're productive members of society getting all their rights back. Is your all's constitutional amendment, is it just pertaining to voting rights, or would it be pertaining to other rights as well?
This constitutional amendment is for restoration of voting rights. That's our goal. It doesn't return citizenship to allow you to run for office.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Rawlings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a cost involved? Has there been a fiscal impact statement done, or will there be pushback from the county clerks or somebody else?
I would say that it would be a cost just as any other constitutional amendment. It wouldn't be different than any other constitution amendments that we've had on the ballot over the last several years. I don't know exactly what that number is, but I would assume that it would be similar to what we've already seen in the last few years with those constitutional amendments that we've had.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to congratulate Senator Higdon and Senator Herron for bringing this bill forward and looking to have this constitutional amendment put on the ballot for the people to decide. It is only fair and right that people who have completed their sentence and paid all restitution, they should have their voting rights restored. And we're one of 3 states that do not do that. So I think it's timely, and it's something that needs to be done on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I agree that this is work that we need to do, if we believe that we're rehabilitating people, then this is just another step in the rehabilitation. And I'm not a legal mind, so I don't understand the legalities of some of this, but I wonder, could you achieve the same thing through automatic expungement or something of that nature? Because I know we've talked about expunging records after 5 years, and I think that would also restore voting rights if we did that. So,
well, I want to that's a great question. A lot of people ask that. I want to just be very clear that expungement and voting rights are 2 different things. Voting rights is in the Constitution, and expungement is not. And so it is 2 different processes. It does 2 different things. And so you would not be able to combine those things or to do expungement, and then that would allow voting. It's 2 different things.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
I was going to say, I did a lot of work on expungement and passed the expungement bill several years ago. After it took me 7 years. I don't know if it was a good bill or my colleagues start feeling sorry for me. But anyway, I did get it passed. And, expungement takes care of Class D felons. Anything above a Class D, you can't get an expungement. But expungement you're right, it does give you all your rights back, including the right to own and carry a gun. But this constitutional amendment, all it does is restore your right to vote.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. So I suppose then the goal of this bill would be to go beyond expungement, in that expungement is only for certain levels of misdemeanors and felonies, and this Constitution would go all the way with any crime.
Any felony, any level of felony, and except those exceptions are in there. There's some already included. It's high misdemeanors. And I think that's kind of confusing some people. What's a high misdemeanor? So anyway, it better defines it. Crimes such as treason, bribery in an election, a sex offense, a violent offense, or offense committed against a child. And that's the same way with expungement. It takes care of all Class D felonies except those.
Well, Senator Elkins, I'd like to clarify that and have an attorney tell me if I'm right or wrong. It doesn't go beyond an expungement. An expungement means the crime never happened and it's all out of the records. What you're doing is saying the crime, you're not expunging, the crime is still on the record, but they can, after they go through their parole and this and that, then they can vote. But it's still on the record, it's not expunged.
I see now why you're the chairman, Mr. Chairman.
And I'll add that clarified things for me very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you guys. Thank you, Senators, for bringing the bill forward. I think it's a good bill, and I look forward to supporting it.
Senator Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. I heard Senator Higdon, you say elections was an exception. So, recently we've added the felony for hooking election equipment up to the internet. So that felony charge, would that keep that person that's charged with that from being able to have their voting rights restored? Is that correct?
The current language, the language in my previous bill said bribery in an election.
Oh, bribery in an election.
So
okay.
we could certainly take a look at that and put any crime, election fraud.
I would think that any kind of crime dealing with elections or election fraud should should not be able to get their voting rights back. So, thank you,
Senator Madden.
It's made, Mr. Chairman.
I apologize. I hope you will expunge that from the record.
If you'll pardon me, I will. Just a simple question. I'm just wondering what group that you possibly are working with that will advocate for this, because I'm sure you'll have to have some education and other things to promote this for people to vote for it.
This has been a growing concern for years. Originally the ACLU was the one behind this, but that group has grown well beyond that. The county I'm from, that's why I got involved in this. I had a lot of my friends convicted of felony during the years, mainly dealing with marijuana. So that's why I've got involved in it. A lot of them had got to the age where they wanted to go on a field trip with the grandkids and couldn't go because they had a felony conviction. But that's primary. The group of the number of people that lobby for this now are, like I said, has gone well beyond the ACLU. And I don't even know that I see the ACLU involved now because there are so many advocating for this constitutional amendment.
One final question: Do you anticipate a group fighting against it?
There's resistance to some degree. The last time when it passed out of the Senate 29-7, you would think, well, there were 9 Republicans that voted against it. There was 2 Republicans that voted no. The other 7 votes were Democrats who really thought maybe that my bill was too stringent. They wanted it a little less stringent. So it's one of those. I think most people agree on the language or agree on the concept. It's just how what are the exceptions and how long do you have to wait after you're freed from jail? How long do you have to wait before those rights are restored?
And Senator, I would agree that most people do support this, and I think it's just about the actual language. What's the details? And I think that that's where we lean on you all that is on this committee, and then other folks who are on elections and constitutional amendments in the House to say, like, what does that really look like? Would love to be able to, in these next couple of months, really shore up that language so when we come back in January, we're ready to go. But there has been some polling done, and over 77% of Kentuckians agree that once people have completed their sentence, that they should have their rights restored.
And in this day and time where there's this perception sometime that we do legislation that we're not tough on crime, this is not a not tough on crime bill. I'm a tough on crime person, but this is for the restoration of voting rights.
I see no further questions. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thanks for listening, and we look forward to introducing this bill and passing it this session. And hopefully it'll be one of the 4 that make it to the ballot box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last is something I want to talk about. I'm just going to do it from the chair and would like to have much input from the committee. On your agenda, it says discussion of application of NTI days for schools designated by county clerks as polling locations. This has come up, and there's going to probably be a lot of adjustments, and it probably end up going through the elections or state committees. This is not a particular bill that's intended, but the county clerks have the right to take any tax-funded building during election days. With our early voting, a lot of times we have not been able to think through everything. For instance, in our county, there's something come up. The county clerk's going to take over some schools for early voting, and it's during testing. The KDE has designated as testing days, so we're going to have to look at whether KDE can come up with different days. My suggestion, which has not fully been thought through, is that the superintendent, if his schools are going to be used for early voting, can he, on those particular schools, use NTI days and not have to shut the whole system down? So that's the gist of what I want to talk about. So I'd like to have some comments from the committee, or if there's anyone in the audience that would like to come up and say something. Representative Meredith.
And I don't want to go too far here, but it seems to me that as a legislature, we could either direct or we could pass legislation just to make sure that KDE does not set testing dates at the same time the election dates are going on. And that would be a pretty simple fix to the situation without having to dive into the NTI day issue or anything like that.
That's why we're here. Representative Hart.
Correct me. I think I'm right on this, but the NTI days they get now, they can utilize them any way they want. So if they wanted to utilize an NTI day for something like this, aren't they able to do that now?
I think there's parameters on NTI days. I'm not sure they can on but that's it. Once again, I'm not sure of that.
Well, and the reason why I asked that, there was a push last session, and I think the session before that they want there's several or a lot of school districts want more NTI days, and we're trying to make a push to get kids back in a class. That would be my first concern, because I think they can utilize the NTI days the way they want to right now, and I wouldn't want to, if you give them more NTI days or you start allowing them to use NTI days specifically for something like this, you're going to have to either compensate them or give them more. And once again, we're going against, I think, an overall objective of getting kids back into class. So
good point. I was talking about just those schools that were taken from them. But that is a very good point. Now, we did, I think, in Eastern and Western Kentucky during the tragic floods, and that gave them a little extra leeway on that. Senator Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder if, and I know some counties, I think, only do early voting at the courthouse, and they do election day voting at the schools, but they don't take the schools for the early voting, which keeps the kids in the classroom. They only do their early voting at the courthouse. So I think that's how we do it in Clark County, if I remember correctly, and it works very well doing it that way there. But I'm not saying it's good for everybody, but
yeah, but the county clerks have the authority to take the school.
So I wonder I guess my question was going to be, should we take that authority from the county clerks and not allow them to commandeer schools for early voting?
And that's a discussion too. There, some of the bigger counties may not have something big enough besides the schools. And maybe it's the county clerk and the superintendent are just not getting along, and we don't want to legislate that. So,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just a thought.
thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Tishner?
Can somebody maybe could remind me, when we went to using our schools, was that primarily during 2020 when we went to the region more, I see somebody waving their finger over there.
Representative Meredith, would you answer that?
That was not primarily during 2020. If you look at historically, we've used schools a lot, and a lot of that goes back to the Americans with Disabilities Act, because schools were, in a lot of small counties specifically, were one of the few accessible places under the Americans with Disabilities Act that were guaranteed to have those accessible areas that folks that might be handicapped or disabled could get into and use. And so at that point in time, a lot of the clerks started using schools to comply with the voting requirements under the with Disabilities Act. And so that's been a pretty long-standing procedure, probably at least for the last 15 to 20 years, maybe longer even. But I think that's the main reason in a lot of situations why schools get used, is because they're going to be fully compliant with ADA, and so to meet those election requirements, it helps with that. A lot of other buildings don't meet that.
Until COVID, that wasn't a problem because the schools were closed on election day. I see nothing else.
And Senator, if I could
Yes,
follow
please.
up on kind of what I said earlier, and I think that's why, to me, I mean, elections are set constitutionally. We know when the elections are going to happen every year because they're in the Constitution. It's long-standing procedure. We know what that schedule is going to look like. We have added early voting in that process. But again, it seems like to me, knowing years in advance, just based on what the Constitution says about when elections happen, it should be pretty easy to make sure that those dates don't conflict with one another. And KDE should be able to come to the table and fix that situation without any problem. What's moving a testing date 2 or 3 days forward or 2 or 3 days backwards at that point? I mean, it's not like this is something that we don't know what those dates are going to be until the year that we're going into. I mean, we know what the election date's going to be every year because it's prescribed in the Constitution. So we know what those early voting dates are going to be based upon the statutes that we have in effect.
Very good. We need to approve the minutes. Hear a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Any objection? Minutes have been approved. Nothing else before the, yes?
I just would like to record my attendance, please. Thank you.
All right. Okay. We got it. All right. We are adjourned.